Hello and welcome everyone to the 22nd Annual Gold Derby Film Awards. Today will be our nominations round where we give you all of the nominees across 22 categories. And as soon as this video ends, you can go into our prediction center. You won't be predicting, you'll be actually voting. You can vote for one film or performer in every single category today, except for Best Picture, where you can rank your top three. I'm Chris Beachum, managing editor of Gold Derby. And here joining us, just go across the screen as I see them: Marcus Dixon, Daniel Montgomery, Ray Richmond, Christopher Rosen, Latasha Ford, Denton Davidson, and Joyce Eng. So we got a great group of people to reveal the nominations today. We'll give you lots of statistics along the way with Daniel. We'll tell you overall totals at the end with Daniel, and we'll tell you once again how you can vote over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then we'll have a ceremony like we did last year. And hopefully most of these winners that you vote for can give us acceptance speeches like they did the last couple of years. So let's get started. You're going to see everybody disappear from your screen except for Daniel, and Denton has the first two categories. So I'll turn it over to Denton.
Hello, welcome. Our first category today is Best International Feature, and the nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, The Boy and the Heron, Fallen Leaves, Society of the Snow, The Zone of Interest. And the nominees for Best Documentary Feature are American Symphony, Beyond Utopia, Four Daughters, Still, a Michael J. Fox movie, 20 Days in Mariupol.
And neither of these categories were particularly dramatic in terms of who the nominees would be. There was a pretty big gap between fifth and sixth place in each case. For international film, missing out in sixth place was Perfect Days. Then you had The Taste of Things. 20 Days in Mariupol actually finished in the top 10 for us for international film, as well as getting into documentary film. Teacher's Lounge and Suzume rounded out our top 10 for international film. For documentary, we had Kokomo City missing out. Again, it missed out by a couple of hundred points, but it still had a lot of support. Eternal Memory, The Deepest Breath, Still Small Voice, those were also in our top 10.
Next, we have Best Animated Feature. The nominees are The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. And the next category is not an Oscar category, Best Breakthrough Performer. The nominees are Milo Machado-Granier, Greta Lee, Charles Melton, Dominic Sessa, and Kaylee Spaney.
For animated feature, we had a pretty big gap between fifth and sixth place, more than 100 points. Just missing out was the Super Mario Brothers movie. In seventh place, we had actually now newly minted BAFTA nominee, Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget. Suzume, Robot Dreams, and The Peasants rounded out our top 10 there. And for breakthrough, we had a pretty close race. It was less than 100 votes missing out for Abby Ryder Fortson, who broke out, of course, in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Then we had Fantasia Barrino, Teyana Taylor, Halle Bailey, and Andrew Barth Feldman for rounding out our top 10 there.
Justice for No Hard Feelings.
And I'm back again. I've got two categories, starting with Best Visual Effects. The nominees are The Creator, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Oppenheimer, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And for Best Sound, we have The Killer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest.
Yeah, this was Best Visual Effects was a very interesting category because we had Poor Things was actually just on the outside looking in sixth place. Barbie also finished seventh with us, even though that's not on the Oscar shortlist of visual effects contenders. Then you got Dungeons and Dragons had a lot of support, Mission Impossible had a lot of support, and Society of the Snow rounding out our top 10 there. And for Best Sound, we had just missing out Pulling up that list. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse actually missed out by not much. It was a close call there for that last slot. Spider-Man just missed out. Barbie also came in 7th place here. Then you've got Cargo's Vroom Ferrari in 8th place. Godzilla -1, John Wick Chapter 4. Those rounded out our top 10.
All right, and I too have 2 different categories, starting with Best Production and Design. The nominees are Asteroid City, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. On to Best Makeup and Hair, one of my favorite categories. Barbie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things.
For Best Production Design, we had a BAFTA nominee, again, just miss out. In 6th place, we had The Zone of Interest. Then Saltburn, Wonka, Beau is Afraid, and The Color Purple rounded out our top 10 for that category. For Best Makeup and Hair, we, by exactly 100 points, actually, missing out on a slot was Priscilla in 6th place. Then Killers of the Flower Moon, I believe also a BAFTA nominee for Makeup and Hair that finished 7th with us. Society of the Snow, Naiad, and The Color Purple rounding out our top 10 for Best Makeup and Hair. And now it's my turn to announce 2 categories. I've got the music categories. So the nominees for Best Original Song are Camp Isn't Home from Theater Camp, Can't Catch Me Now from The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, Dance the Night from Barbie, I'm Just Ken from Barbie, and What Was I Made For from Barbie. And for Best Original Score, the nominees are Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and The Zone of Interest. For Best Original Song, we had just missing out was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Again, exactly 100 points out of a nomination for Am I Dreaming, Asteroid City, Dear Alien, Who Art in Heaven. That came close to a nomination in our top 10. Quiet Eyes from Past Lives and A World of Your Own from Wonka were in our top 10. For Best Score, we had The Boy and the Heron missing out. Actually, this was one of our closest misses. It missed out by just about, by exactly 13 points, actually. So just a few ballots could have put in The Boy and the Heron in 6th place. Barbie again in 7th place, another category where it comes in 7th. Past Lives, BAFTA nominee Saltburn in 9th, and Society of the Snow rounding out our top 10 for Best Score.
Hello, everyone. Let's do Best Ensemble. And this is not at the Oscars, but it is, of course, at the SAG Awards. The Gold Derby nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. And then moving over to Best Film Editing, our nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things.
Now, for Best Ensemble, when the nominations are published, I have listed cast members for each of these films. I am much more inclusive than the SAG Awards are, so you'll see many more cast members for Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer than were represented at the SAG Awards. Just missing out for Best Ensemble were The Holdovers in 6th place. That was the closest to a nomination that missed. Saltburn, Asteroid City, Color Purple also did very well in that category.
Color Purple was my ensemble of the year.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't do a little bit better, just because I think, you know, one of the absolute highlights of that film is its cast. Now for Best Editing, if I can spell that right in my browser. For Best Editing, Just missing out was The Zone of Interest in 6th place. The Holdovers also got a lot of support. The Killer, which we nominated for sound, had a lot of support for editing as well, but not quite enough. Then Past Lives and Maestro rounded out our top 10.
Hi there. I am now going to give the Best Costume Design nominees, and I apologize to Marcus in advance that The Color Purple is not among them. The nominees are Asteroid City, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, and Priscilla. And the Gold Derby Film Awards nominees for Best Cinematography are Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Saltburn, and The Zone of Interest.
And for costume design, Oppenheimer was just 11 points out of a nomination for Best Costumes. Napoleon also had a lot of support. Wonka, The Color Purple actually did finish top 10 for costume design, and Saltburn in 10th place. For cinematography, just missing out by fewer than 100 points, so pretty close for cinematography, was Maestro. Barbie, once again, 7th place. I did not notice this until reading these out now, how many times Barbie finished in a lucky 7th place. John Wick Chapter 4, Asteroid City, and Past Lives rounded out our Best Cinematography top 10.
And over to you, Chris Rosen.
Thanks, Ray. Here I am to do the screenplay categories. First up will be original screenplay. The nominees are Anatomy of the Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, May December, and Past Lives. And then for adapted screenplay, the nominees are All of Us Strangers, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things.
Very interesting list for adapted screenplay that's missing the Critics' Choice winner, American Fiction. That actually finished in 6th place. That was the closest to a nomination that missed. Then you have The Zone of Interest, also had a lot of support. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse had a lot of support. Blackberry in our top 10, and The Killer in our top 10 for adapted screenplay. For original, just missing out in 6th place. Although actually, just missing out is a bit of a, this top 5 was pretty well locked in so missing out by about 900 points in 6th place was Saltburn. Then Asteroid City also had a lot of support. Boy and the Heron, Maestro in our top 10. I just want to make a note that we have Barbie in our original screenplay category. The Oscars will have it in adapted because our voting was already underway. When that change was made at the Oscars, we elected to keep Barbie in the original screenplay lineup, as did a lot of other events like the BAFTAs. So that's where we've got it.
All right. Moving on to the acting categories. First up is Best Supporting Actress. The nominees are Emily Blunt, Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks, The Color Purple, Rachel McAdams, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, Julianne Moore, May December, and Divine Joy Randolph, The Holdovers.
This was a 6-way race for these 5 slots. So just missing out was another BAFTA nominee, Rosamund Pike for Saltburn, finished 6th in our voting. Another BAFTA nominee finished 7th, Sandra Hüller for The Zone of Interest. A Critics' Choice nominee, America Ferrera, and 8th for Barbie. Golden Globe nominee, Jodie Foster for Nyad, and BAFTA nominee, Claire Foy, All of Us Strangers, rounding out our top 10. So this was a pretty stacked lineup here in our top 10.
Next, we have Best Supporting Actor. The nominees are Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling, Barbie, Mila Machado-Granier, Anatomy of a Fall, Charles Melton, May December, and Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things.
Now, this has been an interesting category all season long. Interestingly, Mark Ruffalo missed at SAG and BAFTA. We nominated him here at the expense of Robert De Niro, actually, was just in 6th place by about 50 points for Killers of the Flower Moon. BAFTA nominee Dominic Sessa also had a lot of support. He finished 7th. John Magaro for Past Lives finished 8th. Glenn Howerton, another strong showing for Blackberry. He was in our top 10, as was BAFTA nominee Paul Mescal for All of Us Strangers, rounding out our top 10.
Where was SAG nominee Willem Dafoe?
Willem Dafoe, scrolling.
Ooh, that's not a good sign.
Not very close.
Okay, wow. Maybe I've just missed it. Wait, let me just search his name. Oh, no, he wasn't that far out. Sorry, he was in 11th. He
Okay.
just finished in 11th. I scrolled right past.
All right, well, moving on to Best Actress, which at the Oscars, this is one of the toughest categories to predict this year. Here are the 5 that Gold Derby users have chosen. Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon. Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall. Greta Lee, Past Lives. Margot Robbie, Barbie. And Emma Stone, Poor Things.
Yeah, this category is just as interesting for who didn't make the cut as for who did. The closest to a nomination, actually by fewer than 100 points, was Natalie Portman in May, December. One of these strong Oscar contenders she's gotten in pretty much everywhere is Carey Mulligan. She finished 7th in our voting. Golden Globe and BAFTA nominee Fantasia Barrino finished 8th in our voting. Then you've got Gotham, and I believe she get it in at the Indie Spirits. Teyana Taylor, 1001,
I think
was
so,
also
yeah.
in our top 10. And Golden Globe nominee Annette Bening for Naiad rounded out our top 10. And then you've still got interesting nominees past that. You've got Kaylee Spaney, a Golden Globe nominee in 11th. So, and another Golden Globe nominee, Alma Posty for Fallen Leaves in 12th.
Annette Bening was my choice. I should have voted for her more.
To be fair, she was in 10th, so it would not have gotten her to 5th.
And of course, following Best Actress, next up are the Best Actor nominees, whom are Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer, Andrew Scott, All of Us, and Teo Yu for Past Lives.
Again, he might have just missed out at the SAG Awards and the BAFTAs, and he just missed out with us as well. Leonardo DiCaprio, Killers of the Flower Moon, finished in 6th place with us. BAFTA nominee, who I was very happy got a BAFTA nomination. I wish he had a little more support here. Barry Keoghan for Saltburn finished 7th with us. Jeffrey Wright, American Fiction, a very strong Oscar contender, finished 8th in our voting. Zac Efron in 9th, and he's gotten in everywhere else but here. Coleman Domingo in Rustin rounded out our top 10.
And here are the nominees for Best Director. Greta Gerwig for Barbie, Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon, Celine Song for Past Lives, and Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall.
Another very interesting category. I believe this is historic. 3 out of the 5 nominees for Best Director here are women. I don't think that's ever happened before at the Gold Derby Awards. It certainly has not happened before at the Oscars. If they want to follow suit, they are more than welcome to. But that meant that Yorgos Lanthimos just missed out on a nomination by 100 or so points for Poor Things. Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest was in 7th place. Todd Haynes for May December. Alexander Payne for The Holdovers, a DGA nominee and a BAFTA nominee, finished 9th. And BAFTA nominee Andrew Haig actually finished 10th for All of Us Strangers.
Chris Rosen, take us home.
Thanks, Ray. Here we go. Best Picture, the one you've been waiting for, maybe. The nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, May December, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and The Zone of Interest.
This was a very interesting top 10. It was a pretty secure top 10, but in 11th place with a lot of support. It was actually in the top 10 for a while, was All of Us Strangers. in 11th. Then you've got Saltburn in 12th. The Boy and the Heron, actually 13th. A strong contender for Best Picture at the Oscars with a PGA nomination. American Fiction, that finished 14th with us. Maestro, another Oscar contender for Best Picture, finished 15th with us. Color Purple was 18th. Looking at this list, we had a lot of interesting contenders in our top 20. The Iron Claw and Air rounding out our top 20. So it's one of those situations where the 11 through 20 is almost as interesting as 1 through 10. And
I wanted to mention
reveal,
we had 2,200 people from around the world voting for nominations, and I'm sure we'll have even more than that voting for winners. I will say on some of these movies, remember, Critics Awards, Globes, Oscars, they get access to screeners well in advance often of voting for their various awards, BAFTA voters. Our people generally, 98% of the people that are voting for our awards, if a movie releases really late, like American Fiction or The Color Purple or some of these others, they often don't get nominated at the Gold Derby Awards. People have to be able to go out and see the movie, and if they're not in America, it may be even later than that. So don't assume that people just didn't like American Fiction that come to Gold Derby or didn't like The Color Purple. It's a matter more of just having access to see the movie.
And in our nomination totals, the most nominated film of the year for us was Oppenheimer with 14 nominations. Coming in with 13 nominations was Barbie, which is interesting. I mentioned how many times it finished in 7th place. So it was on the bubble in more categories than it even got, and it still got 13 nominations. With 11 nominations were both Killers of the Flower Moon and Poor Things. And perhaps performing better than many people might have expected, Anatomy of a Fall got 8 nominations, and that doesn't even count the breakthrough nomination for its actor, because that category is not affiliated with any particular film the way we nominate them.
The biggest surprise to me for that film was Ensemble.
Yes, and it has a really strong cast, but like you really think of it as almost a two-hander, a mother and son two-hander, with
and the
those two
dog.
characters
Do we
being
give
so
the
important.
dog an award too for Ensemble?
I did not list the dog in the ensemble
Yeah.
cast. If
No, we're not doing that.
No,
Love her.
we're not doing it. Honorable mention: the dog from Anatomy of a Fall.
Could have been in Breakthrough though.
Yes.
Well, what question? We need to wrap up in 3 or 4 minutes, but what questions anybody have? Any?
I just had a comment that I was thrilled to see 3 women get nominated in directing, and I hope there's at least one female in the Oscars.
I think
there will be.
I'm predicting 2.
So am I.
I think Justine and Greta.
Wouldn't that be unprecedented?
It would just barely be precedented. It happened the year of Nomadland when Chloe Zhao was nominated, and they also nominated Emerald Fennell. But there's never been 3 at the Oscars.
Well, here's what you can do now. I mentioned this off the top, but I'll mention it again. The Prediction Center event is now open. You can go in and vote right away for your, I think it's maybe for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, something like that. And you'll be able to pick one film or one performer in every category, except for Best Picture, where you can vote for your top 3. You'll rank 1, 2, 3, and the votes will tabulate that way. It also gives us, who are looking at results, just a little window into the ranked ballot that the Oscars have. They allow ranking of all 10. We just do the top 3. We started doing that a few years ago on the ranking part for Best Picture, just to get that glimpse, but also there's so many good movies. We hated to narrow it down to just one, that you could only vote for one. But the passion behind voting for one, and then say the acting races and all the other races, we could see more passion when people could only do one as opposed to ranking all 5 or something. So,
and I think everyone should vote for who was their legitimate favorite. Don't try to predict the Oscars, what you think the Oscars will do. Just pick what one moved you the most.
We've had that feeling sometimes, and I think, some of the big award shows do this as well, where voters think, oh, I need to vote for this person or this film because they're going to win anyway. It's almost, Tom always calls it, they just want to be on the winning team. Well, that's fine if that is your favorite, but vote for your favorite. We've had surprises over the years for winners. So don't necessarily vote for what all the other groups are voting for, unless that is your favorite. Vote for who you think was the best all across the board. And I think you'll see the results be even better.
Yeah, I always love people who vote with passion. Our awards are always more interesting when they go their own way, I think. With a lot of other awards, I think they, if they think the award is narrowed down to, let's say, Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon, they might feel like they have to vote for one or the other so they don't like waste their vote. Here, vote, I echo what everyone else has said, vote your heart, don't vote, the odds or what you think the odds will be.
I agree with that. And we do send out trophies. I didn't bring one today for you to see, but they're very solid, tall, black trophies of Pegasus. So the horse is black and then the wings are gold for Gold Derby. And they have their names and their category, their film on there. Last year, we gave those out for the first time on film. I think we've given them out twice for TV, and the winners just love them. We got all sorts of comments, and they do thank us for their nominations and their wins when we're out at parties and events or just on emails, setting up interviews and so forth. This award means a lot to people because it is voted by the public. And it's not the People's Choice Award where it's box office only. It's voted by all of you who are watching this video today and tons of other people. There'll be several thousand people that love, love, love movies. So to get an award from a group like that means a lot to people. So get in there and vote. Oscar nominations come out tomorrow. So you've got about a little more than 12, 15 hours left to get your final predictions in there. You can vote for Grammys. You can vote for BAFTA, SAG Awards, all of the Guild Awards, Producers Guild, Directors Guild. I think the only group, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe Joyce would remember, the only groups that have not announced any sort of nominations are Writers Guild, which is going to be after Oscars this year in a very dumb move. And sorry, Ray, I know you're in the Writers Guild. And maybe editors. Do we have editors yet? I don't think so.
I don't think we've gotten Ace Eddie yet.
Yeah, I think that's
Ace
the
is
only
on
two.
the 25th, I believe.
So they'll be right after the Oscars. So on the editors. So, but all of these events are available for you to predict. And the winner of the worldwide winner on any particular event gets a $100 Amazon gift card. So not only do you get bragging rights, but Marcus makes sure you get that you get a Amazon $100 gift card. So thanks, Daniel, especially because of all his work on getting the stats together. Joyce, Latasha, Ray, Denton, Marcus, Chris Rosen, thank you all for joining us today, and we will see you all throughout award season.